Gary Pudles is the founder and president of Answernet. Gary is an entrepreneur, has the heart of a teacher, loves speaking about business, and if you listen up to Gary, you too will learn about entrepreneurship. Inc. Magazine's Inc. 500 has recognized Answernet as one of the fastest growing businesses in the United States. Each year, Answernet handles tens of millions of calls and internet contacts for thousands of clients, ranging from Fortune 100 firms to small private practices. He teaches an entrepreneurial class at Wharton School of Business at the University of Pennsylvania, and he's involved in startup camps and the International Startup Festival. Listen up, trusted friends. Start up, trust smarter, execute your plan, take action. I'm Mitchell Chadrow. This is the Listen Up Show. So if you are ready to listen up, here is today's show. Get the show notes at listenupshow.com/show081. Now enjoy the show. Gary, are you ready to tell us your story?
I am ready and excited.
Awesome. That's exactly what we wanted to hear, Gary. How did Answernet get started?
Answernet started in 1998. I moved from Washington, D.C. to Philadelphia for a job, and I loved what I did. The job brought me to Philadelphia, but I didn't quite fit culturally into the company. So I wrote down all the things that I liked and all the things that I didn't like in a business, and I went on the internet to find a business to buy. After searching for about 4 or 5 months and having breakfast with lots of people talking about different things that I was involved with, I found a answering service. Free telephone answering service business for sale in the Philadelphia area. I started learning about the business, and one of the things I did was I started reading the industry publication called Connections Magazine. In Connections Magazine was an article about a man who was very active with entrepreneurs in the answering service business. So while I went out and I tried to buy one or more of these answering services that were for sale, I also took the time to get to meet somebody who was very active in the industry. After 6 months, I had raised money to buy one of the answering services, and for all of the right reasons, the deal fell apart. And when I went to the man that I had met and told him my deal fell apart, he actually sold me half of one of his companies. And that's how Answernet got started.
Why did you start Answernet?
So interestingly enough, it is the exact opposite of what most entrepreneurs do. This wasn't that there was a hole in the market or anything like that. What the answering service and call center business was for me was it hit all my check boxes. I loved people management. I loved recurring revenue. I loved telecommunications, and I loved business-to-business services. So I knew at the time there were nearly 5,000 answering services in America. And so it was an industry and a business that had a very established track record. At the time, I was married and had 2 children, a mortgage in a town that I didn't know very well. So rather than taking the kind of risk that comes with starting something from scratch, I recognized the value in old-fashioned businesses with good, strong cash flows. And I figured that if I got into this business, I could use my skill as a business services operator to keep the business going. So I was able to turn my savings into cash flow, which allowed me to take care of my family obligations and the like. And then I believed that I had the talent to grow a business in this space because of all of the interests that I had aligned. So I figured that as long as I didn't screw this up, I could continue to make cash flow and support my family, But then if I had the skills that I believed that I had, and over the years I found out that I actually did, then I could build something from this traditional business that was something unique and different in the industry.
Gary, define success.
Well, that's a great question. So the definition of success is different to every person. I'm a very goal-oriented person. So one of the things that I've learned a long time ago is that there's actually a common denominator of success. And the first step in that explanation starts with defining success. So for me, success isn't making the most money, but it's making a certain amount of money. But there is success to be had in every part of your life. So, for example, I have a brother who owns a power washing business in Florida. Now, there are many more financially successful businesses in the power washing space. But I would say to you that my brother, who spends and dedicates his life to an organization called Optimus International, he and his wife actually give everything they can to that organization to help children with special needs. He's a success. Now, he may not be the most economic success. So for me, in this part of my life, I have a number that I'm trying to achieve where I can achieve, and that's how I define success. But I'm a very goal-oriented person, so every day I look at the goals that I set for my business, and as I have grown, when I reach one level of success, I then set a new goal to get a new level of success.
Talk to us about your entrepreneurial spirit and your personal business core values.
The entrepreneurial spirit I've had since I was young. I had a father who was not successful by most entrepreneurial measures, but he tried over the years to start various businesses.
What did your parents do that influenced you in business, and how did your background shape your outlook?
So when I was young, he and my mother had a delivery business from the basement of my house. So I believe that I got my entrepreneurial spirit back then. But for me, it was growing up in a situation where I was always hustling. I had a bagel route as a kid where I would go out on Wednesday afternoons and I would take orders from people in the neighborhood, and then I would hand deliver bagels to their house. When I was in the Boy Scouts, I had to be the highest selling guy for the Boy Scouts. And when I wanted to go to Spain in high school, I found a teacher who helped me source light bulbs, and I raised $1,600 by selling light bulbs door to door every weekend and every afternoon. So I think the entrepreneurial spirit was a mix of my father and just something that I was born with.
Our startup round, sponsored by Bank Smarter. Check out all the companies you can bank smarter with at banksmarter.com. That's BANKSMARTER.com. Bank Smarter, a virtual cash incorporated company. Now back to the Listen Up Show. What leadership lessons have you learned along the way?
So leadership lessons that I've learned have been a lot. One of my favorite authors is Vern Harnish, who wrote a book called Mastering the Rockefeller Habit. And what I've learned from Vern is that if you break your business down into 4 to 6 primary groups, you can run any business. Every business really operates off of 4 to 6 numbers. And if you can understand those 4 to 6 numbers, you can run and successfully run any business. Now, that doesn't mean the detail behind it isn't difficult. So number one is simplify your business and run the business based on the most important factor. Number two is another big leadership lesson I've learned is to allow yourself to be vulnerable to the people you lead. There's a lot of talk about servant leadership, and I'm a big believer in servant leadership. Lincoln was a huge servant leader. I'm Jewish, but we all know that Jesus Christ called himself a servant leader. Servant leadership is a great concept, but the reality is it's not just about being a servant leader and viewing yourself as a servant of the people you serve, but it's also opening yourself up emotionally and letting people see the vulnerable side of you. It's very, very important. And then from a blocking and tackling standpoint, probably one of the most controversial things that I teach is that you've never fired somebody too soon. And what I mean by that is, and I've told people this who work for me, if firing somebody is easy, don't work for me. Firing somebody is one of the most gut-wrenching things that you can do.
Is this what you look for in people that you hire?
Well, when hiring people, I first look at whether they follow and they naturally have our core values. So our core values are very important to me. So our core values are represented by our company mascot, Pat the Fat Duck. And Pat the Fat Duck is, P stands for passion, A stands for attitude, T is a team player, D is detail-oriented because we make our money one phone call, one email, one chat at a time. C is good communication, and K is kind and likable. If you can't be kind and likable to your coworkers, you're not going to be kind and likable to the people we interface with. So the first thing that I look for is, do you follow or do you represent our core values? The second thing that I look for is heart. You can hire people who have the intellect to do the job, but if they don't have the heart to support the intellect, then they're never going to be able to achieve the kinds of things that you want them to achieve. And a lot of times that's what gets lost in hiring somebody for their resume, is that they don't represent either your core values or that heart that you're trying to bring into the market.
How do you start your working day?
I start my working day the same just about every day. I'm up every day at 7 o'clock, and it's a cup of coffee, and then it's right to email. So by 7:15, I'm on my computer. And the first thing I actually do is the New York Times Ken puzzle every morning. I do all 6 of them because it gets my brain started. I then do all the email, because we're a 24/7 business, that came in overnight, and since I turned off the computer the day before, so that I'm just making sure that I cover anything that came in overnight. So that's or in the day before that I didn't get to. I then will turn off the computer, and I do a half an hour of some kind of exercise. Now, I have to be honest. I've had a weight problem my whole life, and the exercise thing is really new to the last 5 months since I had a hip replacement surgery done. So now, though, every day at least a half an hour to an hour, I'm doing some kind of physical activity, which has really helped me also take weight off. I'm still a fat guy, but I'm a thinner fat guy than I was. And then I do my shower and shave and breakfast, and then it's into the office by 11 o'clock. I'll work in the office until between 6 and 7, depending on whether I have band practice at night. And yes, a few years ago, I decided to start playing rock and roll music in bars as a release, and it's the healthiest release that I've ever had in my entire life. Getting back into music, and then it's TV and family time at the end of the day.
Any time for hobbies and interests outside of family and work?
You always have to make time for other things to keep your brain and your emotional health strong. So when my kids were younger, it was my kid. I have my wife and I have 5 children. We're a blended family. We call ourselves the Brady Bunch on crack. And so I always made time, no matter how many hours I was working. I always made family time. That was very, very important. Once the kids left for school, I was like, what can I do that's really silly? And I have dedicated myself to doing things that are bucket list items for most people. The biggest thing that I'm really well known for today is playing music. So what happened was, my kids go to college, and I get invited to play music with these guys, and I hadn't played in 35 years. So after playing with them one afternoon, they decide to invite me to play with them at a show, and I said, no way. I was scared out of my mind. But as happenstance would have it, after I got married in 2014, and I got back from my honeymoon, and I decided that I wanted to play in front of people, and that the smartest thing that I could do was play in front of my employees. So I asked these guys who I'd played with in the garage if they would be into playing a gig in front of my employees. And my thinking was really solid. Number one, I would play at the opening of a annual meeting that we have where there's an open bar. So the drunker they were, the happier they would be. Number two, we would do 2 hours of music and we wouldn't take a break because I was completely sure that if we stopped playing, everybody would leave. And I figured that if they booed, I could fire them. It was a perfect scenario. So we played and we got a great response. And then it was, okay, that was successful enough. I want to play in a bar. So we go to an open mic night and we decided that we're going to go play in this bar. And the band we decided to call 11 as an homage to Spinal Tap. Well, it turned out that the bar owner in this open mic night bar didn't like loud bands. Well, the whole idea behind 11 is just how loud you are. So after we played Born to Be Wild at Rock Concert Volumes, she softly said, "Get off the stage!" And we did.
Yeah.
And then it was, okay, now I've played out. I want to play for money so I can tell people I'm a professional musician. So I convinced this bar owner in my town to hire to play a show. And it was amazing. So I convinced him that I think we got $300 for the show. And you know, my wife's bar bill, I think, was probably, so my part of it, because it was a 7-piece group, my part of it was probably like $50, and my wife's bar bill and her friend's bar bill was about $150, but it didn't matter. So when they finally got the gig, I said to the bar owner, you know, what time do you want us to play? And he said 9 to 1. I said, well, most of my friends are asleep by midnight. He goes, 9 to 1. I said, we'll be there. And since then, there's been no turning back. I'm playing now.
What excites you most about building Answernet?
There are two things that I enjoy most about building companies. The first is being able to come up with a plan and a goal and being able to achieve those goals. Achieving a goal is one of my favorite things and has been my whole life. The other is the working with people on a goal. So when somebody joins Answernet, they read a thing called The Painted Picture. And Cameron Herold is another author that I like, and he talks about writing a painted picture. And it's a strategy document, not a tactical document, which talks about where I want the company to go and be in 3 years. So the idea here for me is being able to do it with people. And that's one of the things I love about my business is I get to work with some of the most incredible people. And every entrepreneur will tell you that it's the people. And their success is all relegated because of the people. And that's true for any entrepreneur. But it's about the ride as well. So it's not just that the success is driven by the people, but what really drives me is the fun I have with the people I work with. So, for example, I talked about my music. My head of IT is also my keyboard player in both my bands. And my head of sales is the lead singer in one of my bands. So we really have gotten to a point where not only do we work together, but we're also spending insane amounts of personal time together. And it is that togetherness with the people that I work with. Or we'll go and do a show and I'll look out and see 20 people from the corporate office in the audience on their own time. There's really almost nothing better than being able to do things with people that you like and respect.
Our fast pitch round, sponsored by Trust Smarter. For all your trust estates, check out all the trust companies at trustsmarter.com. That's TRUSTSMARTER.com. Trust Smarter, a virtual cash incorporated company. Now let's get back to it. Wharton, tell us about how you educate and help people.
My joy for helping people consumes most of my free. And not only the work that I do at the University of Pennsylvania and but not only Wharton, but also at the Graduate School of Education, but all of the work that I do around helping people is where I take the strengths that I have and I give them back. Because quite frankly, my business journey has been full of people who for some strange reason believed in me when they really had no reason to believe in me. And whether it was my first legal mentor when I was a private practicing attorney to the guy who believed in me, who sold me half of his company, or one of my best bosses I ever had, a guy named Al Smith. I ran Muzak for 5.5 years in Washington, and I worked for a man that I used to call behind his back, I called him Fezziwig, because he was sheer joy to be around. And quite frankly, the holidays around him was even crazier. He would dress up in Santa Claus and drive in this crazy car. And so I've had the luck of having people give to me, and I spend a lot of time giving back. And it's just, to me, and I don't want to sound, all kinds of crunchy, but if you give out good vibes into the universe, a lot of times those good vibes come back to you in ways that you never expect. And it never ceases to amaze me how lucky I get because I spend time helping others.
This is our wrap-up round. What are the 3 main takeaways for our Listen Up Show audience?
If I had to leave the audience with 3 takeaways, I think that I would start with define your success and then go after it with discipline and passion. Don't let the hard work of reaching your goal keep you from going after the goal. That would be number 1. Number 2, believe in yourself and recognize that conventional wisdom is not all it's cracked up to be. Often, conventional wisdom gets you to a very solid middle, and that's fine if you want to be in the middle. But if you want to lead and you want to be successful, decide, that you can do it. And then I think the last thing that I would tell people is that, and this is something that I learned because from time to time I interview business people, not on a podcast, but for conferences and things. And I interviewed a guy named John Sculley. And John Sculley was the former CEO of Apple. And John and I had a great discussion about the best entrepreneurs are the ones who can recover. Anybody can be successful when you are going well, and people are roadkill many, many times. But the best entrepreneurs are the ones that can recover from adversity and continue.
I mentioned that Inc. magazine's Inc. 500 named Answernet one of the fastest growing private companies. Tell us more about the Answernet growth story.
Well, the growth story for me has been an acquisition story. My experience has been buying underperforming companies and turning them around. My success in terms of growth has been that I can buy underperforming companies without going out and getting venture capital money and build my company that way through hard work and effort. And that's how we've been able to grow the business, plus internal growth by helping our customers grow. So those are the 2 big ways that we've been successful. So, for example, we had a customer that started at an $800 a month account and today is doing nearly $300,000 a month. And at the same time, I found that focusing on a different execution strategy is the best way to grow and keep your company. But I want to be very careful to mention that growth on its own is meaningless. The top line number is what a lot of people get excited about. But if you don't have profitability, if you don't focus on profitability and keeping your business profitable, then all the money in the world on the top line doesn't mean a thing. The other thing that's really important to remember as an entrepreneur is that growing quickly, again, is a lot of fun, but if you don't manage your cash, growing quickly will be the first way that you crash your company. So manage your cash and focus on helping your clients grow and helping, in my case, helping people save jobs. And you'll notice it's the Simon Sinek Puget Sound, understanding your why. I focus on helping people, helping companies, and by focusing that, I'm able to align my personal why of liking to help people with my business why of helping companies, and that's how I'm able to grow my business and to sustain my business.
All Listen Up Show podcast guests recommend a book for our audience to read, so check out the full list at mitchellchadro.com/books. Can you tell us some of the biggest challenges that you have dealt with as a business owner and entrepreneur?
Oh, I can tell you quite a few of those. So the biggest challenges for me when I pick up a company is often that they don't understand either their expenses or they don't understand their revenue. So in the call center business, there's really only 4 numbers that mean anything. So the big challenges is often, am I pricing the services that I have right? Number 2, am I staffing it correctly? Number 3, is the cost of the technology I need to service that client too much? And number 4, is the real estate that I need for that to deliver that service more than that business can afford? And really, those are the 4 questions. The biggest, I get business challenges every day, and from employment challenges to people challenges are probably the most difficult ones. But really, it's managing cash and managing those 4 numbers that really allow me to be the most successful. If I think about the biggest challenge I've had, is my biggest challenge has been partners. Is that partners are great going in, but often those partnerships dissolve. Most people say a good partnership in business shouldn't last much more than 5 years, because it often is a situation where people's direction changes, where people have different wants and desires, and over 5 years that changes yet again. So I've heard that many times, and I think dealing with those kinds of changes in the wants of your stakeholders is really one of the most important things that a business person can manage.
Is there any parting words that you would like to leave the audience at this point?
I guess the most important thing for me to ever leave a conversation with is to follow your dreams and have fun. I often say that when I die, I'm coming back as me because I'm having the most fun possible. So do what you love, do it with who you love, and find a way to align why you are happy with what you do, and you'll never work a day in your life.
Well, Gary, this has been really awesome. I want to thank you again for all the help and all the guidance and all that you've talked to us today about. Continue to keep in contact and let us know how you and the business and your employees are doing.
Well, thank you for having me, Mitchell. It's been a great conversation, and I really appreciate you inviting me. And I look forward to maybe someday coming back again and talking about some other topics. You
take care now. Until next time, my trusted friends.
Bye now.
Get the show notes at mitchellchadro.com/show081. Subscribe to the podcast. It is so easy. Go to our main website, mitchellchadro.com. Scroll down to see all the ways to listen up. Click on how you want to listen up, whether it be iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Overcast, Google Play, TuneIn, and so many other ways. Subscribe to our newsletter. Click Get Started to sign up. Sign up for our resource guides, ebook, and entrepreneur business checklist at mitchellchadro.com/sign-up. If you go to our homepage, click the sign up button in the upper right right-hand corner. Thank you to the Virtual Cash Incorporated Company for their sponsorship of the Listen Up Show and all their virtual cash brands from App Smarter, Startup Smarter, Employee Smarter, and so many more. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, mitchellchadro.com/YouTube, and send me an invite on LinkedIn at mitchellchadro.com/LinkedIn. I have a true passion for helping all of my listeners in the Trusted Friends community with free resources at mitchellchadro.com. Click on Start Here. Our podcast guests provide practical tips, advice, guidance, help, and amazing stories of business and personal success stories that you can apply in your own business and family life. Share on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. We are growing by word of mouth, by one trusted friend telling another listener as our audience continues to grow each and every day. The Trusted Friends community here help each other, making it a great place to learn, grow, and trust the advice from our guests and our community, and why you are all my trusted friends. Okay, we will be back soon with more business content, entrepreneurs, and entrepreneurial stories. I am Mitchell Chadro. Both the mitchellchadro.com website and the listenupshow.com website are Virtual Cash Incorporated productions. Copyright 2016 through 2019. Check out the listenupshow.com website. Tune in next time for the Mitchell Chadro Show with more stories of amazing business people, entrepreneurs, and startups whose stories provide practical value, guidance, and help, and entertainment. We have been interviewing Gary Pudles, President, CEO, and founder of Answernet, a telemarketing firm established in 1998. And we now know why Smart CEO magazine named the company a best run company, and why he was awarded the prestigious Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year Award. I'm Mitchell Chadro. Until next time, my trusted friends.